So we're in our side control series. So last week we worked on far side Kimura and some of the attacks that go along with that. This week we're going to go over a series that we do every time we go into side control, but we're going to expand on it pretty quickly. So most of you guys have seen my leg Kimura series. We're going to hit that in pretty quick stride and then go over some other options for us. So we're here on inside control. Just as a review, you want your bottom knee at the bottom of his ribs. You want your top knee either level with his head, or I like to put my knee right on the crown of it. Now, when we're here, we're working, I want to be doing some stuff. Now, what I like to do is, I like to just hit a simple paper cutter here, where I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on the throat. Not because I actually think it's going to choke Jordan. Jordan doesn't suck at jiu-jitsu. He's going to turn his head and start framing my head and start moving things, right? That's great. All I'm looking for is that reaction to isolate this arm. As I isolate that arm, I'm going to baseball slide through and pull me over to warm up here. Boom, here. Floating my hip heavy, keeping my head low. I'm not WWE back sitting through this and looking to the crowd. Keeping my head and chest low, staying here. But I've isolated this arm now with my elbow. Now once we're here, I'm going to kick my leg out straight here. I'm going to look to find Jordan's wrist. As soon as I find that wrist, I'm going to look to tuck his wrist in the pit of my knee. I'm going to turn my chest and back in, bite that wrist here. Once I'm here, this ankle comes back, this thigh comes behind the elbow, and I cross my knees. Those two details are very important. This ankle comes back to trap his wrist, this thigh traps his elbow, and I cross my feet. Now, once we're here, guys, all we simply have to do is very slowly whisper something weird into Jordan's ear, just for psychological warfare and trauma's sake, but also we're going to drag our bottom knee back to his hip. So I'm here, keeping my head low, I drag my leg back, finishing that leg Kimura. This is a sub I've used literally from white to black belt. It's one of my all-time favorites. So we're here, boom, I'm working. I'm going to add a little pressure here. See how that naturally makes Jordan want to frame me and move? Perfect. I baseball slide, isolate that arm. Kick the leg out, wrist down, grab. Once you're there and you have that bit down, thigh comes behind, cross your feet, something weird, you smell better when you're asleep, you know, anything fun like that, as you drag this wrist back. Because that one takes a second, it burns.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what do you mean? And then it burns. How do you know what I smell like when I'm asleep? And that's why I enjoy it. So, biggest detail with this is, guys, a lot of people try to drag their hips over. It can work, not ideal. You want to drag this knee back. So I'm here, this knee starts coming back as my hip comes over. Much tighter and much faster, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're literally trying to come up off, sort of like coming up.
Yes, if I'm coming up to my knees here, and then trying to drag that knee back would be the goal. So yes. Goal of this one is to isolate that arm as early as possible and then use that to attack. Question?
Yeah, bigger opponents, the one-on-one arm.
That's why your arm chest back. I'm not, if I'm here and I'm facing Enoch and I can go whoop and just push it down, great. 99% of the time, jiu-jitsu athletes are naturally strong and they're naturally going to resist isolation like this. So when I'm here, I collapse my elbow in and I'm turning head, chest, back, everything. You know, that's going to be where the, you know, I don't fight fair comes into. It's not my arm versus your arm. That's a fair fight. I don't believe in that because jiu-jitsu. I'm going to engage my lat here, get my chest involved, turn my hips, back, shoulder, everything into this. Boom. Now once I'm here, now I'm fighting his one arm with both of my legs because enemies in life. But yeah, it's not just like, oh, I can push his arm down. If you can do that versus someone, one, you're wasting your time probably facing them, but two, they're not very physically strong, which is very rarely going to be what you run into in general, but as the smaller man especially. So it's going to be using that. That and a little bit of trickery doesn't hurt your case either. Because when I'm here, the way I like to do it is I'll come here, and a lot of people will start framing that arm in. Well, guess what? It needs to go about 6 inches. here, and I can actually reach up and grab it too, is the other part. You can bring that leg up to grab it. So once you get there, boom, then it's your legs engaged. And if they are strong enough, you know, Mike's not here today. Short of Mike, who can probably curl all of us for some ungodly reason. Once you get your legs engaged versus the arm, you should start winning that battle pretty quick. Other questions on this, guys?
Where is your right hip? You have the hip you have down. Where do you want that in line with his body?
I want to keep it tight to his body, and then what I'm trying to do is drag this knee back to replace where the hip is.
So do you want that like in the kind of the midsection where the ribs sit, like
Kind of
the ribs?
that middle rib section is where I'm going to have that my hip. Because
Okay.
I don't want it too far back, because then you're going to be kind of in a weird position sit back wise, and you don't want to have it way up in his armpit because then you're too high. So you want to kind of have it in that mid rib positioning here, because that's going to give you that good balance of I have control of his chest, but I'm also not too far back to engage his legs.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Other questions, guys? Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. We get here. Boom. I get here, right? Same thing. I go to hit a choke on him because, you know, I'm rude. Boom. I get this arm isolated. But let's say I get it here, and Jordan's smart. He's like, hey, man, I don't appreciate you trying to hit that Kimura on me. So instead of letting his arm get bent and coming in here, all he's going to do is try to straighten his arm out and try to really, his goal is to grab my leg or grab into my hips here. His goal is just to protect his arm as much as possible by hiding it. So we're going to go over one quick option, and then we're going to go over kind of the series part 2 of this. So we get here, boom, Jordan goes to straighten his wrist out. All we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to keep my knee right into position here instead of extending it out. I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to keep control of his wrist, but I want to get his arm straight and his thumb up. As soon as that happens, this knee is going to drop on top of it. My bottom knee is going to raise up, looking for that straight arm lock. This is one of those submissions that has about a 30% hit rate. And you're like, Dustin, why are we learning a move with 30% hit rate? Because it forces him down the rabbit hole further. So when I get here, boom, I'm trying to force this arm down. He goes, nope. I go, cool. Arm down, knee up, looking for that reverse arm lock. Very similar to the one we hit over here, or the straight one we hit over here. Same concept, you're just doing it with your legs in one hand.
Have you hit that?
Not frequently. The big thing is it's the timing of catching this before his thumb, he does the thumb down and comes in there. Which is what I want him to do anyway, because we're going to go into double attack. And once we get into double attack, then it's a real I don't like you day. You can really start to hit some fun options, so we'll go over that next.
So what if before you can stop, like before it gets extended, he grabs that like mid gooch area, like
That's fine.
Gets like
That's fine. That's where a lot of guys are going.
yeah
A lot of guys are going for this hip grip. They're trying to get them just some cake up on there on a Tuesday, right?
yeah.
And that's fine.
Other arm.
That's going to be what we go to next. So the point of this series is trap it. Like we talk about all the time. The longer your chain of submissions are, the better. I'm going to get him into this chain with this first move, right? Because here's the thought process. If I'm here and he doesn't do anything, I will choke him, right? Like that does actually, a paper cutter choke can work. So he frames in it and defends himself. Great, now you're in the rabbit hole and I get to win. Boom, I get here, he breaks that. Boom, I go here, he stops that. He's going to get a big old grip and he's going to hang out there. Great, we have two options. For you who are uncivilized and want to punch people in the face for fun, you're now in crucifix.
That's true.
Which is just start hitting them until a ref politely asks you to stop. If you're just civilized people who wear collars, like grown people should, then you go into the overstep triangle that we're going to and the far side arm locks that we're going to work as well. That's going to be the goal. Make sense? Like I said, I just want to show this one real quick and then we'll get into kind of the double attack portion of this. Alright, 1, 2, 3. So boom, I get here, right? Boom, I start trying to choke Jordan. He defends himself because he's a jerk. Boom, I get the arm here. He extends. I miss the straight arm lock or it just doesn't work. And boom, you end up with the crucifix here. Now, we have a couple options when we get to the crucifix. I'm going to show the overstep triangle, and then we'll go over the double attacks. So, big thing is when I get here, I have to make a decision. Do I want to stay crucifixed or do I want to go for the triangle? Me personally, I like the triangle because if nothing else, it controls your head. Even if it's not choking as efficiently as I would like, still has the ability to control it. So boom, I'm here. All I'm going to look to do is I'm going to come back for this grip. I'm going to kind of monkey paw the back of Jordan's neck here. I'm going to lift his head up just that little bit. Now my top foot, I'm going to step, and I want my heel to be right in his neck, but as tight to his shoulder as I can get. So when I'm here, I pick up, here, bop. Right here. I want it as tight to his shoulder as I can get it with my thigh, or with my heel right behind his neck. Once we get there, all I'm going to do is look to scoop Jordan's head with my ankle here, and scoop that up. So a lot of people try to come here and then reach for it. I want to scoop with that here. Once I get there, I lock my triangle, not on my foot, but on my ankle, and I come here. Now, I'm going to talk through this without choking Jordan, because I like Jordan for a second here. So boom, I step that through, I lock everything in, right? All we're going to look to do is come up and twist at that point. Jordan noticed it was already mildly tight before I did all that. The goal of this, guys, is to twist towards his hip as you sit into your sides. So boom, we're here, bop, I scoop the head, here. As soon as I come here, you'll squeeze here, twist here, and I will just go here and squeeze. You're twisting to where your head's on the same side that you started on, hip. That's the twist you're looking for, and that's the part that most people mess up.
So that's why you don't want me to reach to get it, because you want me to go ahead and have my body already all the way across.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so that you can twist. Yep, it allows that twist to go better.
Not only that, it looks like
I'm always reaching.
Yeah.
if you don't reach, it throws the head off.
So the reason I like to do that scooping, one, it gets the triangle in deeper. So if I'm here and I just kind of reach my leg here, Jordan can adjust and change and do all that, which is great if all you want to do is go into double attack. So if all I want to do is control his head with a little bit of a threat to come to here, fine. For me, I like the triangle to be a true threat. So I scoop that head here to come here. Because now Jordan's in pretty distinct trouble. That's why I'm going to loosen my legs here so I can talk. But Jordan gets in pretty distinct trouble right about here. It's tight already. So the second I come here, I can finish, even without the twist if you scoop the head properly. So that's why scooping that head is so important, and that's why I like that monkey paw grip to start. Because a lot of people think you're going back for that paper cutter. So what I'll do is I'll start to fake that paper cutter, and people will start to kind of sit up in here. And that's what allows you to come here. Now, you can roll this way and pull them on top of you. I will kick one of you right in the face if you do it, but it can work. I'm here, I'm going to close. I'm going to do this without my legs locked because I like Jordan and I want to be able to show this. The goal is to control the hips. Here, curl your feet to your butt. So when I'm here, it's pretty quick and easy at that point.
So you still have to think about if you get to that point of going on the side of his hip and he's not tapping.
Sit into it.
Okay, so you don't.
Yeah, you twisting anymore at that point you should have the angle. At that point it's curling your heels to your butt that's going to close that off. So like let's say I'm here, boom, I get here, and let's say for whatever reason it's not working. I get to here and it's just not. The curl is going to become much more important at that point. Like right now Jordan's uncomfortable, but he's not in trouble, correct? Like not comfy, but not great, right? The second I hammer my heel, a lot of trouble. The second I squeeze with it, a lot of trouble. So that's where that, you know how when we do a traditional triangle, we talk about hammer your heel down, pinch those knees? Same concept works, you're just upside down. So you're still doing that same hammer pinch, you're still doing all that. It's just in a slightly different area. That's where the concepts, we'll have a philosophical moment. There's technique and there's concepts, right? The technical side of a triangle doesn't change. The concept just applies a little bit differently from a different position. I'm still trying to pinch my knees, hammer my heel, and twist to lock the ankle. Same concept works, little bit different technique because of where you're at. Does that make sense? Other questions?
Does it matter at what time you're pinching like your butt?
You can start it as soon as your ankles lock. You can start squeezing. I'm not, because I like Jordan and don't want to put him unconscious.
I just didn't know when
So-
the angle change if it made a difference when you were doing that or not.
So, let's say I don't like Jordan, or this is a live match, right? Boom, I come here, pop, pop, I'm here. As soon as this closes, it's squeezing. Like, I'm in that immediately. Basically, I'm in that immediately because I'm not gonna focus on the twist, I'm gonna focus on the double attack. I'm using this as a threat to make you the sense of inevitability to come in on you at that point. Not only am I choking the shit out of you, I'm also trying to break your arm. Tends to lead to despair and tapping, so that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to cinch that immediately and then start going into either double attack or closing.
Okay, when you lift the head, besides you saying don't let that happen, sometimes my hand gets trapped before, like when I put my leg over. What's the smartest way to
So, boom, I'm here, and I feel like my hands, you're getting this hand stuck. It's probably because you're scooping here. I'm looking to where his neck connects into his shoulder. That's where my monkey paw is, because that's going to make it a lot easier for the exit. Because right here, if my hand's trapped here, something's gone wrong. So most likely what you're doing is you're lifting here, and that's why you're like, why the hell is my wrist in here? And it's real hard to get out. It's where your monkey paw is. So when I monkey paw here, I'm almost like you're grabbing their clavicle bone like this. You can't obviously do that in most sports, but I'm coming there, grabbing, pop. And then, yes, you may have a little bit of traction there to get it out, but it should still come out. And then once you're here, then it's pinch. Does that make sense? So that it should be the hand adjustment. It shouldn't be getting it out. It should be.
I feel like I need an angle check on this because I've been doing this another way because I've always kind of grabbed the neck, but I felt like sometimes, I don't know if it's because of my legs, but I don't actually need to get the grip as long as because I lean a bit more forward. But like what I'll do is see. So I'll be here. I'll pull here, and then using your head naturally goes up. I'm here. I don't know if that's because I'm gangly as fuck or not. But
The only thing I'm seeing on that I'm not gonna like is I'm here, right? I have control of your hip. Now you're going to step that weight up. You're off balance, and that's why I don't hate that because you have the length to get away with more than I do.
I just have to lean back on it.
But the second I feel your pressure and hips come off of me, I have control of your hip and a shoulder.
Yeah.
That's gonna give me a lot of leverage to sit you back. So that's, as in all things in jiu-jitsu, plus minuses.
If you feel like they're, one, not your hips, what he just showed, not your hips, not grabbing your hips. And two, no gi, where it's gonna be, you definitely can't grab like any fabric. Would you say that works? It's a little more effective?
Because I'm just gonna hook your thigh to do it instead. So like if I'm here and Jordan tries to do that, where there's no pajamas, even then,
Or you can still hook.
yeah, I'm still hooking the thigh. Like, that's gonna help. Yeah, like you're gonna feel that instability here. So the second Jordan's hips come up, I have that thigh grip. Which, like I said, is gonna be just as effective as the hip grip most of the time. Very rarely do I grab hip pains. Like that's just not a common grip. So that thigh hook is gonna be all you need to do. Other questions, guys?
On this, but
Huh?
I got 1,000 things about how to finish this.
Okay. Alrighty, 1, 2, 3. So,
Reason for everything he says.
boom, I get here, I attack the arm, he hides it. So now you have to make a decision, right? Do I want to stay in crucifix or do I want the triangle? Regardless which one you pick, this next section is of options that are available for you. Because all you have to do for this next set is isolate this arm. So the nice part for me is I'm going to step over for the triangle just for the practice of it, but I'm not going to close it because I want to be able to talk and not kill George. Because I do like it. So when you get here, guys, the nice part is if you're attacking the triangle, the same series we worked last week can work from here too. So boom, I can Kimura, straight arm lock, or if he rolls his wrist all the way, I can come Americana.
No.
Yeah, basically. So that's the nice part for this one. So for what we're working now, we're going to work just the simple Kimura option, but realize there's more arm attacks here once you get here. So once you get your triangle lock, all you're going to look for is his wrist. You're going to drive your bottom hand under his tricep, grabbing your own wrist here. The only difference is you don't have the elbow positioning in the head because your thigh is already there. So all you're going to look to do is get your thigh to the inside of your knee and attack the arm, the Kimura lock here, as you have the triangle locked as well. So how it would look is you get here, boom, I get Jordan's trap, I get here. If that's not working, all I'm going to do is look to come over the top and attack the Kimura as well. Double attack, because sometimes you need more enemies. But the basic premise of this is control the head and neck with the legs, allow that to get you into the arm, because the nice part with that is 90% of his defense that he would use to defend the Kimura is already isolated up into the triangle or into the crucifix if you're staying there. Questions on this?
Can I ask a defense question?
Yes.
In the crucifix, how do you stay safe?
Get your elbow down.
You do it?
So like if I'm here with Jordan and Jordan's crucifixing me, right? I don't like what's happening. I get here, right? Biggest thing I'm going to look to do is home alone. And then this hand, I have to get this elbow down. So my hand that is in the crucifix, your goal is to get elbow down. He starts to lose a lot of control once you get that elbow down. So then at that point, you're keeping that home alone defense going. And then looking to get that wrist out whenever possible. It's not, you're not escaping that to get to a great position. It's back to here. You're wanting to get back to that home alone side control defense and then work out from that. So, yeah, the goal is get that elbow out of the crucifix first, then start to address problems from there. Other questions?
When you're attacking the free arm, are you wanting to stay up like you were the first time, or are you wanting to actually go
So,
chest to chest, so to speak?
So when I'm here, I want to be here.
Okay.
I want to be over the top of this arm. One, it gives you a lot better leverage, but two, it stops a lot of him trying to roll. Because what a lot of people do is they'll lean back in this, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I can attack this arm now. And Jordan sits up, and then you're in this bottom side control triangle, which pretty tough to finish for the most part. So I'm trying to stay over the top of that, not because it helps a lot with the triangle, more because it helps with the control and being able to attack that far side. Other questions? 1, 2, 3.